The thing is, when anyone is asked, when anyone is asked about a very religious question, such as, what is the greatest gift that God, as the Maker, what is the greatest gift that God has ever given to humanity? The greatest gift that God gave to humanity, what is it? A lot of people will have differing opinions, but mostly the answer that you would likely get is that God gave us life. The truth is that it is wonderful that God gave us life. But then your parents did something similar to that. Your parents were the ones who had sexual intercourse, and your mother was the one who bore you 9 months in the grave while you developed from a simple cell into a human being, into a human baby. And after a set period of months, your mother went into labor, and after minutes, hours, sometimes days of pushes and contractions and pains and screams and whatnot, you were born into the world alive. I am very certain that God never came into that picture. Jesus was not there. And listening to me reason out things like this, you'd most likely say, "Ooh, that I am an atheist. I do not believe in God, or that I'm blaspheming God." Yes, yes, God gave us life. But life is a continuum. Life is like a stream. You can divert it any way. And just because you diverted it from to the right and then let it flow to the right side does not mean that that diversion is the origin of it. It still has a source. So the source of life is the Father, God. But then something else is responsible for distributing this water, for instance, to different parts, to different areas. And that is like your parents, who, being alive, who having life, were able to procreate you, a child who is alive. And if everything goes according to plan, if everything goes as it should, you will be able to produce your own children. That is, if you haven't started producing your children, by now. So, God is life, and your parents gave you life. Yes, God gave you life. Directly or indirectly, there is nothing we can do in the world without including God. But logically speaking, If your parents never met, then the odds that you would have been born would have been very little, and Jesus Christ would still be Lord. So you see, so I doubt that the greatest gift God gave us is life. Because even I can make life, right? Instead, the greatest gift that was given to us by God is freedom, is liberty. Liberty, if you go back to the root of that word, liberty, the meaning of liberty, the Latin word, it means the freedom to breathe. Liberty. When the child is born and it is quiet, the doctors or the midwives, they have to apply some sort of a small degree of pain or shock to the child so as it takes its first breath. And from that moment, that child begins exercising his or her basic human rights, which is the right to life. Every other thing begins from there. You have the liberty to breathe in and breathe out and continue to live. Nobody gave that to you. Nobody. It is something you received. It is something you became. You weren't breathing in the womb of your mother. You weren't breathing a few seconds before your head popped out of the womb. You began breathing the moment you entered into the world and was identified and was known as a living thing, as a human being. God gave us liberty. He gave us the right to choose what we want to do, what we must do, as well as those things that we do not want to do. Either ways, we are free. And when you think about it, most of us have kids and we try to mold our kids into our own very image, especially for parents who have a very um, a very big idea of their personal capacity or their personal um, effectiveness as human beings. They try as much as possible to make sure that they inculcate this personality into their young ones. Your child has to dress the way you dress, has to speak the way you choose to, the way you decide that they speak. All right, they have to eat what you want them to eat. You unconsciously try to repaint your own picture in your own children. And there is nothing wrong with that. There are different ways of parenting. So long as you do not inculcate wrong and hateful and harmful characteristics into these young ones, then well, you can try your best, because when it comes to parenting, nobody really gets it right. But God, He creates sentient beings. But God, He creates sentient beings, excuse me, and He gives them free will to do whatever they want to do. I am talking about an entity that has the ability to see future potentialities. So by looking at you, He knows that in 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, you would become the reason why a lot of people will be in pains and suffering, the reason why a lot of people will hate their life, will seek to die, will live all through every single day on earth being spiteful, hateful, angry. And God still says, let him be. He still lets such a person live, right? So you hear about bombers, child molesters, rapists, evil dictators, mad scientists who cause an immeasurable amount of pain on others. And you ask why God even allowed them to live. I want you to imagine that level of goodwill. I want you to understand the level of freedom that every single human being operates on, that not even God can make you do what you do not want to do. So God sees a child with potentialities for evil one time or the other in the nearest future. And God still chooses to let that child be. There is nothing anybody can do about it. And just like every other human being in the world, that child will also have, you know, a relatively fair, ground to live and become whatever he wants to become. Do you want to go to the Bible? God made Adam, and looking at Adam, telling Adam, "Don't eat this, don't eat this, eat this, don't eat this, touch this, don't touch this." He knew that in a few days to come, in a few months to come, Adam was going to go eat that same thing that he said do not eat. He knew it. We exist in a dimension where we consider time to be in three aspects. I'm talking about the past, the present, and the future. That is how we understand time in our dimension. But the dimension that our Father, God, operates from is a higher dimension, so that both the past, the future, and the present all occur at once. So by looking at Adam, he already knew what Adam would become. That Adam's actions would cause a chain reaction that will lead to the enslavement of this person and all his generations unborn. And what did he do? He didn't try to uh, cajole Adam, to psychologically, manipulate Adam. He still let Adam have his free will. Adam is not fine in the garden. He brings a woman. And this woman, he knows this woman will cause this man to sin, to fall from the heights which he has been placed in the existential hierarchy. He knows Eve was going to cause the downfall of Adam. But no, he didn't kill Eve. He didn't make her disappear. No. He didn't try to manipulate Eve into behaving in the way that he wants her to behave. He still allowed Adam and his wife Eve to have the freedom to do whatever they would, even the freedom to disobey and rebel against him. This is an entity that knew the future. In my discourses about Bible and theology, people always tell me, people always ask this question: if God knows everything, why did he allow Adam to sin? Or why did he create Adam when he knew that Adam was going to be uh, a rebel, a sinner? The answer is inherent in the principles of life. God is life. And because he is life, he understands the potentialities of life. And he understands that all life is sacred, and all life has to be respected and honored. So he does not just try to manipulate people because he can. He allows every single human being to express their choice. So Adam and Eve, they chose. It was a choice. Satan or no Satan. I mean, your creator tells you, do not touch this thing. And one strange fellow from nowhere comes and says, don't mind that man. He's a joker. Touch this thing. He doesn't want you to be like him. And out of curiosity, stupidity, you touch it. Adam knew his maker was a great, great being. But he still dared to choose to rebel against him. And what did God do? He simply chased him away of the sanctuary he built for him. An opportunity to live. And continue his existence. Adam goes somewhere else and starts a family, gives birth to Cain, gives birth to Abel, gives birth to Seth, and others. When we think about this, we come to understand that free will is a really, really important gift to humanity. Freedom. There is nothing that will be enjoyable for a human being if his or her freedom is taken away. I know in the present day, a lot of humans have been brainwashed psychologically, physically, and in every way possible, religiously, to think that they are not free. But God Himself give you freedom, the right to live, the right to be whatever you wish to be. But because of society, right? For the purpose of society, we came together and said, okay, that if everybody is allowed to do whatever they want to do, and also considering the fact that most people are not as good as others. Some people find joy and pleasure in doing evil to their fellow man, while other people find joy and pleasure in doing good to their fellow man. It is just a bipolar issue. Different kinds of people. It's a human nature. Some are good, some are evil. And these two kinds of people exist in a society, in every community, in every nation, in every city, in every state, in every establishment. There are those who are good, who mean good, and there are those who are bad, who mean bad. So human beings came and said, okay, let us construct for ourselves a set of guidelines, not not as an act of taking someone's right or someone's freedom or someone's free will, but rather as a way of securing ourselves collectively, so that someone who is evil and who has the ability to do evil will be restrained from hurting other people, mostly people who are less powerful. And that established society, that security, that just because you are a midget, that a giant will not just step up and crush you. That every single person has a say in certain amount of rights. This agreement was the basis of civilization. The agreement of human beings to live together, live by certain codes, certain guidelines. Today we call them laws. But in the beginning, nobody called them laws. They were just moral realities that existed. It is wrong to kill another man. It is wrong to steal from another man. It is wrong to take another man's wife. It is shameful to hurt another man's properties. This These were the agreements that gave birth to society. But even at that, freedom has always been our greatest weapon against those who may decide to to dominate others for the purpose of power and wealth and other such mundane things. Even if a man is in chains, a man is still free. Remember, what is the symbol, the gesture of freedom? The gesture of freedom, the cardinal sign of freedom is your ability to breathe. You breathe in and breathe out. That reminds you that you are a free being. You don't have to go and buy air, oxygen from a master or a boss or a pastor or a money lender. You don't buy oxygen from anybody. It's everywhere. That is the symbol of your freedom as a human being. But we forget about the dynamics of freedom, the left and right, the different parameters that come with the concept of freedom. So many political establishments over time, nations, empires have risen, and every single one of them has had their own idea of laws and regulations and what freedom should be, and who citizens should be, and who civilians should be, and who leaders should be. They have had their differing opinions. Some have risen, some have fallen, some are still standing. And in all of this, one thing is still consistent with this planet, and that is humanity. We are still here. Sometimes I ask myself, do people realize who they really are? Do humans understand who they really are? I have this thesis, this theory that I am trying to propound. It's called, I'm still in the basic stage of it. It's called the theory of, it's called the theory of existential dissociation. Well, it's a mild psychological problem, but in a nutshell, existential dissociative syndrome is a situation where an entity is unaware of its existence. That is, where a human being is not aware or has forgotten about his or her identity as a human being. That is existential dissociation. Well, it's still being worked on. But that was just a side note, because a lot of people do not understand who they are and what they are and what parts they are meant to play in society. For them, they are just people who happen to be in a place, who are trying to survive, who are trying to make something of themselves to give themselves and their family comfort and protection and security. Aside that, they are nothing. You know, aside that, they are nothing else. They are just a distinct entity who is running through the world with appetites, with ambitions, and with emotions. That's all. And even when people tell you that they have purpose, and you ask them, what purpose you have? Oh, they tell you, I want to make a lot of money. I want to be famous. I want to be powerful. And some others can be a bit psychologically awoke, psychologically woke, and they might say, I want to help other people. I want to make the world a better place. And if you go into a gathering of 2,000 people and you ask each and every one of them what is their motivation, what is their drive, what is their purpose, who they are, well, you'd find that a lot of people do not even know who they are. They'll tell you, I am I am Grace James Jackson. I am John Paul Matthew. And how do you know you are John Paul Matthew? Oh, my father told me that I am John Paul Matthew. But you came to the world before you were told you're John Paul Matthew. So what are you before John Paul Matthew? What were you before you were John Paul Matthew? People don't really think about those kind of things. I term this existential shallowness. And what does that mean? That human beings who are sentient beings, who are people who have consciousness and reasoning abilities, most of the times think about, only worry themselves about those things that they have been told or been instructed to directly or indirectly. You go to the marketplace and uh, and you hear people complaining about the price of this, the price of that, the price of this, the price of that, and the scarcity of this, inflation, deflation, politics, bad governance, and everything. And you ask them how do they come about this information, and you always trace this information to another party. Yes, the economy is difficult, but then what is the root of this economic difficulty? Somebody, someone, some people, those in power, obviously, and because they said so, because they said the economy is bad, every other person agrees, oh, it's bad, and that is how it continues. So I wake up in the morning and I'm so angry. The economy is bad, and I don't even know what economy is. Well, it affects me when I'm buying a carton of sugar with a shade of water. I can see the economy is bad from there. But you don't even know what the economy is. Human beings are shallow. So that freedom now looks as though it is a commodity that is useful at certain times and useless at other times, right? You have the freedom to live, but you must work to survive. You have the freedom to live, but you are obligated to work. So when it comes to life, you have freedom, but when it comes to existence, survival, you have to work, right? You have the right to self governance, but when it comes to the larger society, when it comes to the national situation, the nation, the government, your freedom is not useful. You just have to be that which they tell you to be, or that which you have been told to be. And that is all you know. That is all you believe in. You don't question it. And you're okay with that. Existential shallowness is the reason why human beings do not exploit their freedom to the latter. Do you not know that humans are creators? Humans are creators. We are all creators. That is why the Bible, time without number, describes us as children of God, as children of the Creator, because we are creators. If you are a child of of a creator, that naturally means you are also a creator, right? But because of our existential dissociation, because of our forgetfulness, our ignorance, and our shallowness, we forget about that creative aspect of us. So that all we do with our life is just trying to go by. All our ideas, all our innovation and creativity ends in the level of, like survival, trying to make more money, trying to live more securely, how to benefit, how to expand your circle of, how to how to increase you, you know, and that goes against the fabric of nature, of reality itself. Because as a demonstration, every single time God does something, He doesn't do it for Himself. He created Adam and put him in the garden. He never told Adam, I want you to worship me morning, day, afternoon, night. I want you to bow down and roll on the floor whenever you hear my voice. I want you to wash my clothes and clean my house. I want you to do everything I say you should do. I want you to bark like a dog if I want to hear dog barking. He never said that to Adam. He created the world, made all the beautiful things in the world. All the most people do not know how beautiful, how mesmerizing the world truly is. The world is beautiful. It's amazing. For a scientist, I can testify that the world is magical. It's spectacular. I'm telling you, it is brilliant. But most of us do not even observe these things. We don't know these things. It is about survival, progress, growth. It's about, wow, that pressure of civilization. You have to be this. You have to get that. You have to go there. You know. Now, I'm not trying to say everyone everyone should be, um, you know, this deep when it comes to understanding of the idea of existence. Everything meaningful, everything useful that is to be done by any human being is really for him, his or herself. Although God says in the Bible, the heavens are mine, the earth is mine, things like that. But in reality, He doesn't struggle my father's assets with me, my landed properties and my estates. No angel from heaven is struggling them with me. There's no celestial being struggling my. There is nobody struggling your properties with you except your fellow human being. So even when God says the earth is mine, the heavens are mine, He still lets you have them. You have autonomous control over them. He doesn't tell you what to do with whatever you have or whatever you have, claimed. Because that's basically what human beings do. We claim. We claim things, and yes, it's ours. And after some time, everybody says, "Oh, it's theirs," and it's a normal thing. God never says, "Pay a tax to me for having this or having that." He created the world, but then you have it autonomously, free of charge. But you who are a product of this entity, who clearly shows you his mode of operation, his modus operandi. He shows you everything he does and the way he does. And yet we humans, we do the opposite of it. A very, very woke person will tell you, think about yourself first. That is a very intelligent thing to tell somebody in the world today. Think about yourself first. They ask you, what do you want? You know, and some people will go, some people will hear them saying, I can't displease others. Okay, I can't please others to displease myself. You know, that is the state of the world today. It shows how far we have come, we have fallen. Because for a lot of time I contemplated when they said Adam fell, the fall of Adam, the fall of Adam. And I was thinking, what exactly did Adam fall from? Where was he before he fell down? Because the Garden of Eden was in the world, he was just chased out of it. There was no fall, he wasn't in heaven. Satan fell down from heaven to the earth. That's clearly stated. But Adam never fell down from the Garden of Eden to the world. The Garden of Eden was in the world. So what did Adam, where did he fall? What was the fall of Adam? What does it mean? And I realized that the fall of Adam was not a physical fall, it was an existential fall, and a fall in consciousness. The moment Adam rebelled, automatically his mindset was alternated. And if the ideology of God was from right to left, the ideology of Adam was reconfigured to be left to right. And that had existed from the day of the fall till the very moment that Jesus Christ came into the world. It had been so. So that after Christ, we were able to reconfigure our minds to begin, thinking, behaving like God, who we actually truly are. That is why Jesus Christ says that I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. The Father is a metaphor for perfection. The Father is a symbolism for the ideal state of existence. That is what Jesus Christ describes as the Father. And if you do not pass through him, you can never you can't even perceive what perfection is all about. Because outside Jesus Christ, humanity is a lost species. We are self-destructive. If you put 10 human beings in the room, before 10 months, they'll kill themselves all. Humans are self-destructive. You can see what we have done to the world evidently. So, outside Jesus Christ, there is no way we can meet the Father. We can enter the Father's presence. Because at the fall, at the actions of Adam, our subconscious mind was alternated. How is that possible? Well, you pick things from your parents subconsciously, consciously, and even genetically. What you are is what you give birth to. So, what Adam became is what he gave birth to. And what the children of Adam were is what their parents were. And it is the same thing that they gave birth to. So it went on and on and on and on. As your thoughts are, that is how you are. This is what Jesus Christ said. That the nature of your thoughts determine the kind of person you are. So it's not even about the physical identity. It's not about what a man looks like. It's what a man thinks like. You might see a very big bulky man and he's as he's as cowardly as a small puppy. Yet you might see a very small man, but he's as brave as a lion. You might see a very beautiful looking person and they're as evil as darkness. And you might see a very ugly person and they're as wonderful as angels. It is just the mental thing. As a man thinketh, so he is. So when Adam fell, it was a mental thing, not a physical thing. And sadly, up till this very day, the mentality that corrupted Adam is still the dominating mentality in the world today. This is a world of dog eats dog. It's a rat race. Our society is a society where parents kill children and children kill parents, friends betray friends. It is messy. Our world is messy. Our world is disgusting. The earth is beautiful, but it doesn't have nothing on us. But unfortunately, everywhere human beings enter, we spoil. Wherever we enter, we scatter. Look at what we call cities. Imagine New York. Imagine London. You know, Toronto, Paris. These places are very unhealthy, economically unstable, politically. What we call cities is basically a cramping of human beings who are living under one pressure or the other. That is what cities are. And in some cities, the human beings are cut off from nature entirely, that you won't even see one tree in a city. It's all buildings, shops, marketplaces, offices, and parks and this and that. But nobody cares about nature. Where you came from, human beings came from nature. We are part of nature. We are nature. But we, in the name of building cities, we take ourselves away from those things. And you see that life becomes very disturbing. People are anxious, people are depressed, people are scared, people are nervous, and you don't know that it is because humanity has been far from nature. But when you go back to the people who live in rural areas who still have access to nature, you find that they are not as pressurized as the people who live in the cities who claim to have a better life. That is how far we have gone in our thinking mentalities. What is useful has become useless. Like the Bible says that the wisdom of God will become a laughing stock, that many shall go after their own wisdom and their own devices, and the wisdom of God shall be what they will throw away. And that is what it is today. You see men writing books of how to do this, how to do that, you have to be this, you have to be that, you have a mentality of this. And every single one of those books is trying to take you far away from your divine nature and turn you into a human robot in the so called cities. Where we lost it is where we stopped thinking about ourselves collectively and not ourselves individually. Oh, I think about myself every day. But when it comes to thinking about ourselves, well, I can't even think about myself enough. How will I have time to think about ourselves? You see, Okun has to worry about Okun. Etam has to worry about Etam. Mark has to worry about Mark. Jones has to worry about Jones. But then who worries about Etam, Mark, Jones? Who worries about everybody? And you find that the only time that human beings have shown any ability to come together and do anything together is when there is crisis, when there is war, when there is sickness, when there is disease, when nature has given us a stroke at the buttocks. We all come together, oh yeah, we start singing, we are the world, we are the future, and and when everything is normalized, oh, so your turn, so Israel, everybody go back to what you were doing before, being selfish and greedy. Hmm. And some people will tell you that they cannot help it. It's just the way the world has become. That is the excuse. The world has become something else. You have to be wiser. Those days our parents were like that, but these days things are different. We have to do, we have to be this. They are always excuses. We always blame the world. And who exactly is the world? Does he have a house? Does he have an office? Who is the world? The world has changed. Who exactly is the world? You and I. You and I. Human beings. We are the world. So you see, the world has changed. It's simple. Human beings have changed. The world has become so bad and corrupt. It's very, very obvious. Human beings have become very bad and corrupt. So what do you expect? It is not about the world. It's about human beings. All these people running around trying to save the globe, trying to save the planet, trying to stop global warming, trying to stop carbon radiation into this, trying to stop this and that. If they spent just a fraction of that kind of energy in trying to see how to create better relationships in societies, the planet will heal itself. Nature doesn't need your help. Nature does not need the help of human beings to defend and grow itself. That is why it is nature. It doesn't need anybody's help. But because we are feeling guilty conscience. You see the different people from different parts of the world sitting together, oh, we want to save the planet. Who asked you to? Who sent you? Human beings are the powerhouse of this planet. It's whatever we decide that this planet becomes. This planet can become heaven. This planet could also become hell. It all depends on what human beings choose to make it. And the key word there is choose, which brings us back to our discussion on free will and freedom. What we choose to make the world is what the world will become. Some people say I'm not powerful enough. I don't have enough money. I'm not as talented. I'm not as intelligent. I don't have enough knowledge. I don't have enough connections. I don't have the platform. Yes, in the world today, only the wealthy, only the powerful, only the rich have the platform to do anything meaningful, right? To control, to execute things. A common man does not have that ability. The Bible, in the book of Proverbs, it says the wisdom of the poor is scorned, is laughed at. That is the world we are. That is the world we are in. Only those who have wealth, who have power, who have fame, uh, can say something. And most times they don't even know what to say or don't have what to say. But because they are wealthy and famous and powerful, they whatever they say has resonance. But if you are not, whatever you say sounds like as though you are making monkey noises in the ear of human beings. This is still a classic example of how far we fell from our divine state, how we left divinity and became material beings. So that it doesn't matter if a person is the absolute worst thing that has happened to the world, so long as he has wealth and power and fame, people will still honor him and bless him and die to keep him alive. That is the nature, that's the reality. So we have the freedom to make out of this world whatever we want to make out of this world. Like I said, the world can be a heaven for us. The world can also be a hell for us. Today, inflation is a global thing. The whole world is seeing one level of inflation or the other. Global security has never been this threatened. I mean, every corner of the world, war is being sung like television jingles. Every dominant nation in the world is on its toes. Nobody knows what the next hour is going to bring. With weapons of mass destruction popping up here and there. You know? It's crazy. So that looking at it from the peripheral level, you might just think, damn, there is nothing we can do about it. I mean, the world is headed for ruin. Yes, it is because we chose to let it. I know a lot of people hearing my voice will want to do something about something. They would love to do something about something. I mean, the things that matter to me might not be the same thing that matters to you. So I don't expect you to go around to go about your life doing the same thing that I wish to do. But when it comes to building society, when it comes to developing society, when it comes to our collective life and our existence, we must be united. And it's a unity that would give us the results we want. Not just unity in words and in appearance. No, it's unity in thoughts, in motives, in intentions, and in actions. Unity in belief. When God was about to establish a quasi government in the world, when he wanted to bring in powerful beings into the planet he had just made, he called to his comrades and said, let us be united in the creation of something. And we are those things that divine entities united into creating. And today, because we have been brainwashed into thinking that we are all different people, our disunity is threatening to damage our world, this beautiful world, this wonderful planet. But the actions of some people, some other people's life is hell and miserable. People have been turned into monsters because of lack and deprivation, because of suffering, because of their experiences in life. They have become monsters and demons, have become hard like rocks. and they go around inflicting pains on everyone and anyone they can come across. That is what the world has turned people into. That is what people have turned themselves into. But this is not the end. This is just the beginning. We will explore our power, which is the power to choose, which is our freedom. And by exploring the extents and the potentials of our freedom, we will automatically find out what it takes to have a society that everybody agrees that this is good. Just like God saw the world that He had created and He said, yes, this is good. We also can come together and fashion out a society, and at the end of the day, we will stand and nod and say, yes, this is good. It is not impossible. It is a difficult task. I agree. I agree. It's a difficult one that I mean it's very difficult. But then everything that is hard can be made soft. Just time, consistency, and creativity. And that is what we humans are. If our society is a mess, then it is our fault, directly or indirectly. And we have choices to make. Are we going to rise up and try to clean the mess that we have made, that our ancestors have made? Are we going to ignore things and try to live in our small cubicles, in our small self-imposed cells, called houses or our estates, and develop our share of wealth and die off like whatever? Are we going to sit on the wall like Humpty Dumpty? And lastly, are we going to contribute into the problems that are happening? Are we going to be part of whatever is causing damage and destruction to our society? These are the choices that we must make. And we must make it quickly because a day is coming when you must take a side, where every human being must take a side. And that day, my friends, is not very far. Thank you very much. God bless you.